Welcome to SVG-TV News for Monday, November 21st, 2016. I am Jennifer Richardson with the details. Former leader of the opposition New Democratic Party, Arnim Eustace, earlier today co-hosted the New Times radio program for the final that's the final time with his continued focus on the state of the nation's economy. The outgoing opposition leader highlighted the number of business closures, which he says will ultimately lead to a further hike in the country's unemployment rate. He also highlighted the recent closure of travel agency Universal Travel and added that, to his understanding, another travel agency is planning to close its doors.
There were two other stores that closed their doors also on the weekend. We cannot continue on this basis. We cannot. I mean, the economy is falling apart. You can't continue to have business closures every day of the week. The last time I spoke at Sign Hill, I gave a list of 40 companies, businesses that had already closed. And that was not a full list, because that did not include the hundreds of farmers and so on who no longer operate. So here we are again, and this business was in place for 20 years. And it's gone. I spoke to the owner and managing director myself. Been operating for 20 years, and it's gone.
Eustace, who served as president of the NDP 16 years, says if the economy remains in shambles, unemployment will not only rise, but so too will crime and violence. He further commented on the ongoing issue of workers' dissatisfaction at the Otley Hall shipyard, which, according to reports this weekend, now boils over into non-payment of workers for several months. Eustace says the ULP administration can no longer consider governance a game and need to take action now to fix the challenges facing the country.
Then this morning, I heard of the Otley Hall. They're going to close some month. I'm already upset that they only charge them $5,000 for Otley Hall, which is a giveaway. We had Bukama running with $7 million. Now you want $7 million for Otley Hall for Monkman Pizza. So, but what's it? We playing some game or something? Monkman Pizza sold $7 million, and you allowed the Bukama personnel to leave here, win $7 million. I haven't heard yet how much of that is NIS. Are workers' funds involved in that $7 million that should have been paid in?
According to Eustace, Member of Parliament for the Northern Grenadines, Dr. Godwin Friday, as of today, assumed the position of opposition leader. Meantime, several persons used the opportunity during the radio program to express their gratitude to Eustace for his years of service.
Just an opportunity for me to personally thank you for the Mondays that you have spent with me.
Yes.
And giving us so much advice, so many different situations that you've been proven right over 90% of the time.
Yes.
It's a sad day for me. I know you're not leaving the party.
Yeah.
But, you know what I'm saying, I will miss our Monday dates.
But
I think I consider that clearly.
I think Bart will give me it sometimes.
Okay, you have to.
I'm not giving up a program.
Thank you, Mr. Eustace, very much for your contribution. I'm not a card-carrying member of the NDP. I'm not residing in St. Vincent, but I've learned a lot from you, and I've gathered that you're still going to be around. I hope that you would continue to bring us that inspiring discussion every Monday morning that I so look forward to.
Yes.
As you leave, I know you are leaving with a good track record for one who would have brought a party that was in his then days of going out to where it has been now. That is a major achievement.
I feel so emotional listening to this program today. Because this giant of a man called Arnim Eustace taught me patience and so many wonderful lessons, life lessons from being involved in politics on the front lines. I have said and will continue to say that history will look back and see that St. Vincent lost a great opportunity to give him the reins of power for longer than he had it, to chart our course towards prosperity for all.
All charges have been dropped against Benjamin Exeter, the New Democratic Party's central leeward candidate in the December 2015 elections, and youth activist Shabazz George. Exeter was facing charges of resisting arrest, assaulting a police officer, and carrying a gun to a public meeting. Exeter's lawyer, K. Bacchus Batiste, told SVG-TV News that the matters which were expected to be heard at the Georgetown Magistrate Court on Monday didn't go as planned, as both the prosecutor and the virtual complainant were a no-show.
It came before Mr. Bernard, who I was also going to ask to decline from hearing the matter because of comments made by the last acting DPP, Mr. Colin John. But when I got there, I noted that the prosecutor, who is Karim Nelson, did not turn up. Neither did the virtual complainants, the two police officers who complained. Therefore, I asked the magistrate to throw the matters out, dismiss the matters for want of prosecution. And he called upon the prosecutor, the police prosecutor present in court, to explain if he knew why the virtual complainants did not turn up. And the police prosecutor said that as far as he knew, they were warned that the matter would be down this morning, and he did not know why they did not turn up.
Bacchus Batiste noted that the sudden note of absence by the prosecutor was a complete act of disrespect to the court, as ample time of notice should have been given, and that the magistrate made a correct decision to dismiss the matters.
While we were speaking, he informed the court that he had just received a message from Mr. Karim Nelson that he cannot make it into court, which I said I thought was a little bit disrespectful, because there are about 6 prosecutors in the DPP's office and one of them should have come, or at least apologize and ask for an adjournment. But to simply say that you can't make it into court, I didn't think that was giving enough respect to the court, and I made that comment. I further said that I am a sole practitioner and I adjourned matters to get to Georgetown this morning. So I didn't see why the DPP's office, which has, I said, about 5 or 6 prosecutors, couldn't get one to come. But the most egregious thing is that the virtual complainants did not turn up.
The veteran lawyer says she was not surprised that those who brought the case against her clients decided not to show up in court today, as their case was weak from inception.
I am not surprised, that they didn't turn up, because I think after their aborted first trial, they recognized that they had a losing case. The case was very weak, as I said, and I'd always said that once we had an impartial court, the matters would be thrown out, because Mr. Ben Exeter did nothing wrong when he had his firearm at that demonstration. And so they had to throw it out. And once the initial arrest, which is they arrested him for what they thought was having an unlicensed firearm, once that was thrown out, all the other matters, the assault and so following it, according to law, would have had to be thrown out also. And so I maintain that these were merely political matters, and I'm happy that Mr. Exeter is free of all of these charges, and also Mr. Shabazz.
The charges resulted from an incident where Exeter was arrested in Kingston on December 29, 2015, where supporters of the ruling ULP administration, as well as those of the opposition New Democratic Party, gathered for the opening of Parliament following the December 2015 election victory by the ULP, which the NDP maintained were not free and fair. According to reports, Exeter had on his body his licensed firearm when a police officer snatched it from its holster attached to his waist. Pharmaceutical and veterinarian personnel here were given an in-depth look into rational prescribing and drug management when they attended a symposium on Saturday, November 19, 2016, hosted by the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Pharmaceutical Council. The symposium also highlighted the Pharmacy Act and the need for antibiotic stewardship in all areas of public health practice. Nikita Tony has more in this report.
Under the theme Medicine Use in Dentistry and Veterinary Practice, a Public Health Concern, medical, veterinary and pharmaceutical personnel were on Saturday, November 19, 2016, engaged in a symposium hosted by the SVG Pharmaceutical Council at the Methodist Church Hall, aimed at highlighting the importance of rational prescribing and drug management in dentistry and veterinary practice. Cognizant that the business of medicine involves all stakeholders, Chief Pharmacist and Registrar at the SVG Pharmacy Council, Levi Walker, noted that it was the first time that the symposium has focused on issues outside the borders of pharmaceuticals.
For health professionals to be up to date, to always be on top of the ball, and to be in a position where we can all offer the best service, the best advice to persons to whom we give such services.
Given an overview of the issue of antimicrobial resistance, medical technologist Hayes John pointed out the need for there to be more awareness about the impacts of antimicrobial resistance on the Vincentian society.
Microbial agents that were once successful in treating infections are no longer able to do so. Now, we have problem in areas where we have antiretroviral treatment with HIV. We have seen treatment failures. It's not one-man issue. Everyone has to be involved. We have to tell our neighbor, our friend, our brothers, our sister that antimicrobial resistance is here, and we have to do our part in ensuring that we make our country safe from this problem.
Outlining that antimicrobial resistance also affects the livestock sector, which will impact food production, representative from the Animal Health and Production Division in the Ministry of Agriculture, Garfield Bowman, highlighted the issue of wrong diagnosis and treatment, which can play a role in promoting antimicrobial resistance.
What we are advocating from the Animal Health and Production Division is a thing called Good Agricultural Practices, GAPS. It's the only way we can ensure the reduction in the use of antimicrobials if we follow good agricultural practices. It's no way that we can have an increase in infections and infestations if we follow these practices and if we follow the sanitary procedures that is related to these practices.
Barrister at Law Kesron Walters in his presentation stressed the need for all medical practitioners, dentists and veterinarians to be fully inclined with the Pharmacy Act.
We appreciate laws which touch and concern pharmacy and drug or substance use. It is important to understand what is required and why, as well as understand that such laws are dynamic and can be changed to protect the public in ways that extend beyond the status quo. Most laws exist for a reason, and laws outlined above are no exception to this general rule. Dentists, medical doctors, and vets should be fully aware of the impact of pharmacy law in exercising their day-to-day activities.
Nikita Tony reporting for SVG-TV News.
A call has been made for Vincentians in the diaspora to be a part of the Ministry of Agriculture's Agri-Export Strategy Initiative. This, as Minister of Agriculture Sabota Caesar announced a planned visit to the US and Canada in order to boost this country's agricultural exports, as well as create more employment opportunities for Vincentians.
We have a significant number of persons from the OECS and from St. Vincent and the Grenadines working on the farm program in Canada. And we intend for this farm program to be extended to other citizens, both male and female, who would like to venture to Canada to work and to give their service on the farm labor program. We are not only going to seek employment for our nationals in the area of agriculture, but we are also going to speak to employers in the tourism sector, and we have already started preliminary discussions and we expect that fruits will be born very soon from our consultations.
The Agriculture Minister says the visit seeks to tap into non-traditional markets, which they believe will be a success.
Visit will be made to the United States of America, and a meeting will be held in Brooklyn, New York, with several importers of agricultural commodities. The Ministry of Agriculture has launched the Agri-Export Strategy Initiative. This initiative is hinged heavily on the Argyle International Airport, where we are going to see from St. Vincent and the Grenadines us reaching non-traditional markets for existing commodities and new commodities that we intend to produce in the not too distant future.
Caesar called on persons in the diaspora to get on board with the ministry's Agri-Export Strategy Initiative, which he says would be beneficial for SVG's development.
We are encouraging persons, entrepreneurial-minded persons in the diaspora to come on board with the Agri-Export Strategy Initiative. We are aware that many persons will be interested in importing goods into the United States of America and also into Canada when the Argyle International Airport is opened. And we want to ensure that we have our production bases organized and we have the requisite framework in place so that we can get over the phytosanitary hurdles which are put in place by the borders of these importing countries.
In an effort to establish an OECS regional agricultural certification system, the Ministry of Agriculture, Forestry and Fisheries is hosting a Good Agricultural Practices Awareness Workshop. The workshop, which includes training on good agricultural practices, which will be an acceptable criteria to acquire certification, is a product of the OECS Heads of Government's commitment to drive agriculture through the demand from the tourism sector for an established quality and food safety standard. Speaking at the workshop's opening, Chief Agricultural Officer Ashley Kane stressed that farmers shouldn't take the safety of food supplies for granted.
It is also important that through these legislative arrangements that we have the ability to move product from St. Vincent to St. Lucia to Dominica properly as it was intended to be done within the common market. I think it's also an opportunity for service providers, because if we have competent people who are good at establishing gap systems in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, there's no reason why they cannot be hired or why they cannot bid, Michael, in Dominica for the establishment of systems and so on. So these kinds of rule arrangements are offering us also opportunities. And I trust that as we go through the workshop and as our facilitators carry us through, that we would, those dimensions would also come through, and we see how the building of these gap arrangements can help us to be better farmers and better agricultural industries with the potential to last for a very, very long time.
Guest speaker and consultant to the Quality System Solutions in Jamaica, Lauren Pinnock Brown, noted the importance of good agricultural practices, which he says should not only be exercised on the farms, but through proper documentation, process mapping and auditing techniques.
It is key to note that in order to capitalize on existing marketing opportunities and to realize socio-economic benefits, we need to ensure that we can be able to access global markets. And in accessing global markets, each farmer and authorizing agency need to ensure that the food that are produced are safe when tested and inspected. So at the ports of entry, you might be doing production from the farm level, and then when you reach the point of export, that's when your goods are refused. Therefore, we need to ensure that from the farm to the fork, we are ensuring food safety.
The workshop taking place at the Fisheries Conference Room will conclude on Friday, November 25th. A country is blessed when it looks after its most vulnerable. That's the view of Vicar General Monsignor Michael Stewart of the Roman Catholic Church, Kingstown, as the church celebrated the relocation of the Loaves and Fishes Soup Kitchen, which is now located in Rose Place. Speaking at the rededication and relocation ceremony, Monsignor Stewart noted any society that takes care of the less fortunate is blessed, and expressed confidence the same blessings will be extended to all those who will benefit from the soup kitchen.
Not only God blessing us directly, but how God blesses the entire society. Rightly so. You know, a city is worth its worth when it looks after the most vulnerable in its midst. We're going to ask the Lord to bless us. Moses told Aaron that God wants his people to be blessed. And Moses gave Aaron what we call the Aaronic blessing. May the Lord bless you and keep you, etc. We're going to ask the Lord to do precisely that, to bless this place, and that God's presence would abide always with it and the work that is done here, so that everyone who comes, whether they are the persons off the street or those who serve, would all in turn experience blessings.
Meanwhile, founder of the Soup Kitchen, Father Andrew Roach, thanked the various charities and institutions which allow the kitchen to continue with its operations. Illustrating a point made by Pope Paul VI, Father Roach noted that authentic human development is more important than economic progress.
Reminds us that we are to pay particular concern to those who live on the margin of our societies, and similarly those who are trying to escape the ravage of hunger, poverty, and ignorance. The challenge is for us to give support to those seeking a larger share in the benefits of civilization and a more active improvement of their human qualities. Speaking to this issue of human development, Pope Paul VI reminds us that authentic human development is much more than economic progress. It is about the development of people as human beings. He postulates that true progress allows every individual to grow into the person God intended them to be. In this context, therefore, real advancement offers the dignity of each individual and nourishes their growth as human beings made in the image and likeness of God.
Also speaking at the ceremony was CEO of St. Vincent Electricity Services Limited, VINLEC, Tony Myers, who stated that if society fails to take care of the less fortunate, all within the society can suffer. Myers said a lot of responsibility has been placed on the church in relation to the care of the less fortunate, which he said should be the responsibility of all those who have a bit more to offer.
I use this opportunity to say to all of us, we need to think of our place in society. We need to think what we can do to help our brothers and sisters. This is no mean task. I am not a member of any particular religion, but quite often I'm moved by the work of the churches. And sometimes we put too much burden on the churches. It is our responsibility as citizens, even if it is in our own self-interest, to ensure that we look after the least fortunate and those around us.
Members of the Royal St. Vincent and the Grenadines Police Force are currently investigating a shooting and arson incident which occurred over the weekend. Reports reaching SVGTV News are that Kimarni Williams, aka Triple Gold, a resident of Upper Kettles in his late 30s to early 40s, and Jamalo Dunbar, also of the same address, were at their home when gunshots rang out at around 2 a.m. Williams reportedly received a gunshot wound to his left side, whilst Jamalo escaped unhurt. Further reports are that the house which they were in at the time was firebombed.